Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I'm seeing BAAHUBALI 2! BAAHUBALI. You know, when I say the name out loud, it sounds kind of like I'm saying BAAHUBALI. BAAHUBALI 2. An Indian BAAHUBALI movie, that would be... Huh. But anyway, what the fuck are you doing reviewing a movie like this, Glenn? You're like the whitest guy I know. Why are you reviewing a movie from India? Well, it was a request. I got a request from someone whose name rhymes with Balexander Tulecki, and he was saying, well, I hear this is the most, this has the highest box office rating of any Indian film of all time, and want to see what you think about it. Yeah, it does. It's the highest grossing Indian film. I want to say Bollywood, but apparently I've been looking at some of the videos from it, and people like seem to be vehemently against it being Bollywood. I'm not as immersed in Indian culture to say, so I'll just call it Indian film. So we'll go from there. And yeah, it has both the highest budget of any Indian film before then, and highest box office gross. And in fact, the record was previously held by the first movie, BAAHUBALI 1, The Beginning. And this is BAAHUBALI 2, The Conclusion. I'm sure it sounds better in its native language. So yeah. Before this, I had never seen any kind of Indian film, Bollywood or otherwise. I did know all the stereotypes that they're 3 hours long. There's a lot of musical numbers, whether they fit or not, they're in there. And it's just generally a lot more fun, a lot more old Hollywood kind of vibe to it. And that's about it. That's all I knew. And this movie has all of those things, so I'm not sure the stereotype is unjustified. But yeah, I hadn't seen one before, but I watched the first BAAHUBALI just because I've been told, like, quite explicitly that this is kind of like a Kill Bill sort of thing, where it's not necessarily like a first movie and a sequel, it's literally the continuation. It's like two parts of one thing, and neither part will completely make sense without the other. Which, I'd have to argue, yeah, plot-wise. But I've seen the first movie. I haven't seen the second one yet, but I don't know. Let's just say these movies, this movie isn't very intensive on plot. Well, a lot of things happen in the movie, yes, but it's driven a lot more by emotion and like just like very basic character interactions and sticking as many fight scenes and musical numbers in as you possibly can. So I can't honestly imagine that you would be too lost if you just saw the second one, but that's just all speculation. So, just get into what I have to think about the first one. I fucking loved it. I loved it so much. It was amazing. That is the only word for it. After sitting through so much bullshit over the last few weeks, I mean, oh god, what even have I seen? It's been, like, so long, but just so many boring movies that nobody cares about. Even I don't really want to watch, but, you know, I kinda got to. But, yeah, so, like, after seeing so many boring shit, seeing something as over the top and crazy and amazing as this is a huge amount of relief. Huge amount. From the very beginning, just the most ridiculous shit is passing off as normal. Like this lady, she's escaping from these soldiers, right? These soldiers, and with a baby, she's holding a baby, and she single-handedly kills all of them, because she's just that badass, I guess. And then she tries to wade across this river by herself, this very deep river that is moving very rapidly, and surprise, she starts drowning. Okay. But, so the solution here, she prays to Shiva, and she holds the baby up into the air with her hand, and then she dies in that position, holding the baby above the water. And, like, somebody in a nearby village is like, hey, that's a baby in somebody's hand. And they go grab the baby. And like, even though she doesn't really look dead to me, they just kind of assume she is. What would have ticked me off that she probably isn't dead, and that they should probably at least try to save her body, is, like, immediately after the baby is taken out, her finger, like, points to the waterfall nearby. But no, like, she's a goner, I guess. But yeah, their explanation is that she got rigor mortis in that position, and that's how the baby... I have to tell you, this is a small iota of craziness that happens in this movie. That is just the opening scene. What happens? It is beautiful, honestly. The special effects in this movie look like garbage, but that is only in comparison to the modern effects we have today. Even though it does look like garbage, all the CG in this looks like early 2000s television, but the visuals itself, great sweeping landscapes, great cities, like the waterfall, the mountain. Even though a lot of it is on cheesy looking sets, it still looks gorgeous. Honestly. I'm not even joking. It looks great. And they don't just stick to setting everyone on a green screen. There are times when they're on a green screen, but there are points, and I was honestly in amazement watching this, where I was like, oh my god, I think that's a matte painting. Oh my god, I think that's rear screen projection. Like, Jesus, they're varying it up depending on the situation. And honestly, when I say the special effects are shit, I'm mostly referring to whenever it involves animals, because they go full CG on that, which is understandable. You can't have a guy fucking just pounding a bull down into the ground and have be an actual animal he's doing that to. That, for one thing, he wouldn't be able to do it, and for the other, even if he did that, it's very nasty to the bull. But yeah, for the most part, everything else though, it's older technology, and it kind of shows, but it adds to both the charm and to the aesthetic, and it works. They don't try to hide it. They don't do that Assassin's Creed bullshit of covering everything in smoke to hide their shitty effects. Like, they show it in full glory, and it looks so good. So good. Honestly, if every movie was like this, I'd probably get sick of it. But if every Indian movie is like this, damn it, I have to say, India, I don't like your food, I don't like your politics, but damn it, your movie is awesome. The musical sequences, like, most of them did not interrupt anything. As I said, this is mostly led by pure emotional intensity, so so it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, they don't interrupt much, and some of them are actually pretty cool sounding, honestly. The theme song to this is pretty catchy too. I don't know, I'm thinking I might commandeer that for a video sometime, because it is just so intense, you know. So yeah, I am very excited to see this movie. I am expecting a lot more. This one is a little longer, and of course it has a larger budget than the first, so I'm expecting more craziness. I'm expecting the sets to look even better. Honestly, I can only assume it's budget limitations that made it look like that in the first place. I'm expecting the CGI animals to still look shit, but that's inevitable. And yeah, and I'm hoping they finish the flashback that they started during the last hour of the of the first movie. Literally, we have this story of this guy climbing a mountain, meeting this girl, and falling in love, and then a flashback story is told, and and the flashback goes on to the end of the film, and the flashback is very clearly not over at the end of the film, so it's an odd framing choice, but I don't know, we'll see. There are also other issues I suppose I should bring up, but I want to see this movie first before, just to see if it rectifies them before I even bring them up. So, let's get to it. Oh my god. That was an amazing experience. I have to tell you. I was out there. I was out in the middle of the night, at 1 in the morning, standing on the side of the road, like, in like, the worst part of Portland, waiting for a bus, the last bus of the day, in the pouring rain. And it was totally worth it to see BAAHUBALI 2. Oh, I can't even tell you. Kid, let me give you an idea. Okay. There's a million things exactly like this that happen in the movie. And in the first movie too, but let me just spoil this one. Just to give you even an inkling of what this movie has to offer. So, BAAHUBALI and his army, right? They're outside of this big walled-off city, and the drawbridge has been brought up. It's completely sealed tight. They can't get in. They're just stuck out there in the middle of the desert. They all have like shields and swords and stuff, but nothing to aid them. There's just like palm trees everywhere and maybe some rocks, but like nothing. You know. No way to scale the walls, really. They don't have, like, ladders or siege equipment or stuff. And even if they did, the walls are lined with hundreds upon thousands of archers that'll just freaking shoot them right through the head if they get even close, right? So, using your most logical thought processes, how do you think they might try to get in? Well, it's kind of a tricky one, like, I don't know. This seems like an impossible situation, doesn't it? Well, let me tell you. This is how they get in. They team up into a group of 5 or so people. They pull down an end of the palm tree and tie it to the ground. And then they all line up one after the other on the palm tree. Then the person at the end severs the rope and launches them up and over the wall. Now, the archers are waiting for them, so they all link together, they wrap their shields around each other, and form a big metal ball that the arrows can't pierce. And then they land over the side of the wall like a cannonball, burst open, and each person immediately starts fighting. So, I'm at a loss of words. This is all live action, by the way. This is actually people. You're seeing physical people doing this. Of course, like, heavily influenced by CGI and other things, but oh my god, the imagery is so striking. This movie, the things I've seen in these movies, they're gonna haunt me to my grave, and in a good way. Honestly, in every way, this was both a step up and and like a great continuation of the first. Everything the first had is in this movie and more. Remember with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, how I said, to me, a good sequel is something that not only, like, gives you the elements of the first one, but enhances them, right? This movie fucking did that! And more so. This was so entertaining at every fucking minute. This was so easy to watch. This was so fun. Even in the darkest of moments, I'm watching this movie and I am enjoying it. You know, I might not exactly be laughing or anything. You don't need to be enjoying the movie. It is so crazy. Especially after, like, the Batman v Supermans of the world and stuff. Like, you can have a fight scene, even a serious fight scene among, like, brothers and stuff, and still have it be entertaining to watch. This movie is a prime example of that. Honestly, if I had any qualms with this movie at all, just with this particular movie at least, not with the franchise in general, it is that Bahubali's girlfriend that he met in the first movie, and that he, it's the person that he climbed the mountain for and stuff, you know, the big romantic interest. She is pretty much non-existent in this. In fact, thinking back, I'm not even sure she was in the movie at all. Like, she was that non-existent. Like, I might have to check IMDb for it. I'm wondering if, like, the actress quit or something, because literally, I do not remember her having a single line, let alone doing something. It was bizarre. Really bizarre. I'm wondering if that has to be, like, some sort of, like, problems with the actress or something, if she didn't return for whatever reason. Be a mighty shame, really. But, honestly, that's it. That's it. But yeah, like, now that I've seen both, let's get to things with the story, with the movies in general. As I said before, just like the first one, these movies aren't very good in this plot department. It can be kind of confusing. Motivations can be strange. Certain sequences of events don't quite make sense. Now, in my opinion, none of this matters because the emotional intensity and the fact that, and just how enjoyable it is, almost makes that completely completely pointless to even talk about. Just because, you know, you can still enjoy the movie to the fullest. There were parts in the first movie, not in this one, where I honestly wasn't quite sure what the hell was going on. It was mostly just cultural differences, but I was still enjoying it. Like, that's the power of this movie. But yeah, anyway, the story of these two is told in a very, very odd way. As I said, they started a flashback in the first movie, and they finish it in this. But here's the thing. The last movie is 3 hours long. They started the flashback in the last hour, and then they finish it at the 2-hour mark of this movie, and then the final hour of this is, like, the present timeline. So it's almost as if they have two movies telling two stories that are connected to each other. They tell the first 2/3 of the second story first, then they get to the first third of the first story, and that's the first movie. And then they get to the last 2/3 of the first movie, and then conclude with the last third of the second movie. And this is the second movie. See, it's a very odd method of storytelling. And honestly, just because of their length, you probably could have made this into a trilogy, but I'm glad they didn't. Honestly, it's ambitious in that sense. Like how they decide to tell this story. It's very ambitious. And yeah, I honestly like that. I like the framing and and that method of storytelling. But plot-wise, this is not that great. The only real weak point, as you could say. But yeah, honestly. And yeah, the only other parts, I know this is like a heroic legend, and this is kind of what happens in heroic legends, but just in general, just how the love interest falls for Baahubali is a little sudden, to say the least. Like in very romantic scene, he tattoos her without her knowledge. A very elaborate tattoo too. Just like he tattoos her hand and he tattoos her shoulder without her knowing, without her being able to notice. I didn't think that was possible. Maybe there's like a numbing agent in the tattoo stuff, but yeah, it's kind of revealed later he has the same tattoos on himself, and it's so that when he embraces her in a certain way, they kind of link up and form an image, which is kind of cool, but kind of have to wonder, isn't that kind of like he's, in a way, he's like taking possession of her or something? Like, what if she didn't like him, for instance? What if, like, she rejected his advances? He permanently scarred her then, didn't he? I mean, I guess it worked out here, but it's a bit iffy, I'd say, on the, like, personal rights kind of area. Speaking of personal rights, the movie's depiction of slavery is also kind of iffy. There's a group of people who apparently their ancestors pledged allegiance to Mahufmate, the city that Baahubali's from, and the king or queen of that land. Yeah, apparently, as long as the king or queen is benevolent, they seem pretty okay with things. And, like, honestly, the way they depict slavery doesn't seem so bad. I mean, that's kind of the iffy part. Like, literally, at no point do we get, like, something about, this is wrong, maybe we should stop this. I mean, I'm not asking for, like, the slaves to be liberated in some great scene or something. It would honestly distract from the main storyline. I can understand that, but, you know, maybe addressing it once might be nice, because, you know, slavery's not a good thing. I hope they understand that. So yeah, I can understand you taking issue with the movies over things like that. I can totally understand it. Yeah, for me in particular, though, and I think for a lot of people, stuff like that can kind of fall by the wayside. I'm not saying that, like, it's excusable by any means, but if you just relax and enjoy the visuals and enjoy the epic scenery and the amazing fight scenes that happen in this thing, and great musical numbers, you can move past that, is what I'm saying. And yeah, definitely check these movies out. You know, if you're ever gonna see a foreign film in your life, there's probably better. But if you know, you're iffy on, like, the subtitles and stuff like that, get over yourself and watch this movie. Watch the first movie first, then watch this movie, because damn it, you are missing out if you don't. You are missing out. That's all I have to say. I am so glad I saw this. I mean, shit, after crap like The Circle, where it's like, I'm just so bored during the whole thing, even though some crazy shit's happening in there. See a movie like this, it brings life back into me, honestly. So, I can't recommend it enough. My 5-star seal of approval, that's not a thing. I've never done that before, but it has it now. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dire Situation.